Hey guys, MKS again here. Back here with part 3 of my video about supporting town football, or supporting or possible town football. Please check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already done so. Hopefully they weren't too cringeworthy or whatnot. Unfortunately, my brother swore on video, which was I'm really annoyed about. But not sure if I should get revenge on him or not. I don't know if I can be bothered, but part of me thinks I should get revenge on him in a way, which he will never do. He'll never disrupt my videos, hopefully, after that. But anyway, I'm a bit too chicken, maybe, I don't know. Anywho, going back to my list, I was talking about before about ways to make a town football competitive with like the Premier League and other leagues. Apparently, I was reading recently, I think they say even the Championship, which is the second highest division in England, for those who might not know, is actually spends more money than Serie A, and the English Premiership earns a heck of a lot more than most of the leagues, like certainly more than the Scottish League, obviously. And Scotland's only a small country, but much more, and I suppose it has fans all around the world and things like that. So, anyhow, I hope I can help town football to become as financially competitive as possible, as well as competitive on the pitch and in youth development at both national and club team level. So onto the list 21. I hope to. I'm going to try and be quite quick with this because I hope to go to the library and do some writing on Facebook and stuff like that. Use library PCs because I don't like to use this PC too much. Also save them on a bit of electricity. But anyway, and get out of the house and things like that. So anyway, 21. I hope to like look at the history of Italian football and market that history about the like especially in the 90s when Italian football was probably the top league, or certainly one of the top leagues. Well, it is kind of one of the top leagues anyway, but I think it was probably the top league back then, before the Premier League and all that became possibly more famous. But I think back then probably Serie A Italian football was the most. I'm not 100% sure if that's true or not, but I think it slipped down way below the Premier League. I'm not sure if it was like the Premier League was top even back then, because obviously there's fans of the Premier League all over Asia and Africa, like especially Man United, for instance. But like a lot of people could have a second team. Like if they support Man United, they could still have a favourite Italian team, like Inter or AC Milan or Juventus or whatever. But yeah, I know Serie A already have done this on like their YouTube channel, which I'm subscribed to, and I try and support as much as possible, which is they look back at throwback Serie A, where they look back at the old games, where we have some great players like, I say we as a fan, like Ronaldo, the old Ronaldo from Brazil, Gabriel Batistuta from Argentina, quite a lot of players from Brazil and Argentina used to play in Serie A, as well as the Spanish league as well. And yeah, just looking back at some of those historical things and look at what worked in the past and what we can perhaps look to do, recreate and things like that, and like make town football proud again, and that sort of thing. 22. I hope to like get Italian fans around the world, especially from YouTube, like support each other's channels, and as I say, especially try and support the brand and be a brand ambassadors, if you like. Yeah, and like just connect together, and that sort of thing. 23. I hope to encourage as many companies as possible to sponsor Italian football and possibly have a list of the top, maybe Serie A or Italian football generally. The Italian FA could have like a list of the top supporters of Italian football, both at national and club team level, local and national level. So like which clubs have sponsored Serie A, which companies, have sponsored Serie A the most, and that hopefully will encourage more companies to want to be on that list. So we have like a top 30 or whatever, or maybe even top 100 list of sponsors of Italian football. And like I think Italian football already has a Hall of Fame, but I think it could be like 30 top contributors to Italian football, and all sorts of lists like that. So yeah, I hope to encourage companies, as I say, like Subway, possibly Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Pepsi Cola, all sorts of big companies to compete to sponsor Italian football, and see in the future who will be the biggest sponsors. I think that'd be quite an exciting opportunity. 24. I know like Italian clubs are quite divided, and I suppose that does lead to a sort of competitive environment in Italy, which kind of makes it interesting, because like if it wasn't very competitive, then I suppose it wouldn't be an interesting league anyway. But yeah, I suppose like I think it'd be great if let's say the most successful, like even when they're in the league they compete against each other obviously, but I think teams should be happy for Italian teams should be happy for each other when they do well in international competitions, or especially in Europe, maybe even like the World Club Cup or things like that. So getting behind each other's teams when they play non-Italian teams and that kind of thing. And also I'd love to see Mediterranean teams, as I say, be more united. I've talked about before. Possibly some of these like Eurasian, transcontinental countries generally, the Mid East and Mediterranean. I love them to be united through football. And like support each other's teams, and maybe like some of the rich people who have bought clubs like in the Premiership, like Man City and clubs like that. Instead, I'd try and encourage them to buy Italian clubs and buy players. But again, investing in youth I think is really important for the national team as well. So it's a balance between buying great players, but also investing in the youth, the young Italian players. And I think when overseas players come to Italy as well, both overseas and domestic players, I think they should. The club should encourage them to train up some of the younger players as well. So, like if we have players like Ronaldo coming in, or if Mbappe, or even if Messi somehow was convinced to come to play in Italy, that he would train up some of the younger players as much as possible. And like also lots of football academies that are set up by footballers like former footballers like Roberto Baggio or Pirlo or people like that, to set up their own academies to train younger players. 25, as I say, I hope to come up with as many ideas as possible and share ideas and listen to ideas for the Italian football authorities to, and especially people who sponsor Serie A, to look at ways we can get better sponsorship deals and maybe more television coverage to compete, as I say, with the Premier League or other leagues, and look at ideas that we can have that could help Italian football to be more competitive. I'd love to encourage people from India and China and all over Asia and possibly Africa as well to get into Italian football. I'm not sure how, but I hope to look at ways we could do that, especially India, China, and look at how people could become Italian football fans, and also have fun events that encourage people to become Italian football fans. Maybe even like people from republics or stuff like that. It's another quirky idea of mine. 26, yeah, as I say, I hope to improve relations between Italians and the rest of the world through football, like have diplomacy via football, where Italians get on better with people from, especially, as I say, Africa, Asia, indigenous communities, and even people from other parts of Europe, like Ireland, and as I say, especially Mediterranean countries and things like that. And maybe like Britain has the Commonwealth, maybe Italy could have something similar for the Italian Empire. I know it's a bit of a controversial idea. I mean, part of me does think, why would they support Italian football when Italy tried to invade them? But I suppose it's like similar. You could say, why would people support England when England tried to invade them? But sorry, I hope I'm making some sense anyway. Probably clutching at straws with a few of my ideas, but anyway, 27. As I hope to look at people who like sponsors, possibly a top list of 30 top sponsors of Italian football and things like that, so to reward them. 28. I hope to like change some of the negative things, the negative stereotypes of Italian football, and again make better marketing ways to bring more people in to support Italian football. 29, as I say, I definitely wish to encourage people from India, especially Anglo-Indians and people of Indian background, somehow to support Italian football. And also, like, if I could, I'd love to encourage dyslexic people somehow to support Italian football. Not sure how I'll do it, but that's a dream of mine anyway. But And 30, I'd love to hear any other ideas or suggestions about ways that Italian football could be better marketed, ways it could be supported financially, who could sponsor it, and again, how it could compete with leagues like the Premier League in particular, which is, I think, the richest league in the world. But yeah, I think that's probably waffled a bit in that video, but in this video. But as I say, I plan to go to the library to write some ideas on Facebook about some things that I'm planning for the future generally. But I hope someone out there found this video at least fairly interesting, and some of these videos I do about football, soccer, if you prefer, for Americans out there. If anyone from America might stumble across my videos, or as Italians call it, calcia. So whichever term you prefer. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. Peace and love. Hopefully everyone has a good day out there.